So where I left off yesterday with this connection to the header, between the header and the Pypes exhaust system, is I had this epiphany that that joint right there had to be in front of that transmission cross member. And the reason I didn't realize this sooner is because I put this new A41 transmission in it, and they gave me a new cross member to go with that transmission. Now I'm going to show you the old cross member. So that's the old cross member standing vertically, and you notice it has two holes in it. Those holes are for the exhaust pipe. I guess you can't see it as well from there. But those holes are supposed to be where the exhaust pipes go through. And the reason why I was confused, I think, is because where I was trying to put the X pipe, the clamp that would have held that on would have had to been in the middle of that hole in the cross member. Let me get over here. It would, as where I had it positioned, that clamp would have had to been in the middle of that hole in the cross member, and there is no exhaust pipe clamp that I'm aware of that would fit inside there, number one, and number two, that if it did fit inside, you'd be able to get a wrench in there to tighten it. So I had that whole X pipe positioned too far back, and I recalled that the clamps for that X pipe, between the X pipe and the S pipes, had to be in front of those holes in the cross member. That was the instructions Pypes gave. So had I not put in the new transmission, I would have realized much sooner that I was positioning the X pipe too far back in the chassis, and I would have had to move it so that I could get those clamps in front of that cross member. So armed with that knowledge, and that's my story and I'm sticking to it, armed with that knowledge, I'm going to take you back to the car. So right now, the reducer pipe from 3 to 2.5 inch right there is inserted into the S pipe. This is the passenger side, which is the long side, I'm sorry, the short side for the header, which means that I need a longer piece of pipe in here. But I need to move that joint up 1.5 inches or so. And I think if I loosen that up, that S pipe is going to go further on to the reducer pipe and give me that 1.5 inches. So I'm going to take out the driver's side because that is now too long, and I'm going to work on this side, get it positioned as far forward as I can, and get a clamp on that X pipe connection over here. Well, I'm fairly confident this is going to work, so I'm going to put the clamps on for both of those connections, but I'm not going to tighten them. And once I get that moved forward without the driver's side pipe in, I can see what I'm looking like at the back. And I know this is going to create another problem for me, and that is where to hang the muffler hangers, because where I was positioning it, that was going to be my point of reference where I was going to hang the mufflers from the same bolt that holds the 5-mile-an-hour crash bumper on, and that would have come right down where the joint for the muffler and the chrome tailpipe were. Now that I'm moving this up, I'm going to have to find a new place to mount that muffler clamp to support it back there. So you're looking at the Pypes directions, and I want to point you to the S-Pypes, which are labeled A and A, and up here it says A S-pipe extension. Got to back off the camera a little bit to get it all in. So there's your two S-pipes, A and A. Except that's MCC 10 dash, I believe it was an R. Maybe I thought it was F for front. This one here is MCC 10L. But again, partly messed up, but these guys appear to be just a little bit different in their curvature and maybe even their length. Well, not really. One way when I matched them up, it looked like the length was different. Oh well, but long story short, of course I had the one labeled R on the left-hand side of the car and the one labeled L on the right-hand side of the car. So I am going to try to put those on the left side and the right side and see what kind of a difference that makes. Well, after switching the parts that were supposed to be on the right and the left, and a bunch of struggling to get the pipes inserted and lined up, I think I'm actually ready to tighten these down so that they don't move while I work on the mid pipes and mufflers. Unfortunately, because I have 3 different kinds of clamps, I have 3 different sizes of socket that I need. This one came with the pipe system, and that one is 15 millimeter. I'm trying to look at my socket to make sure I've got the right one. So that's 15 millimeters, those types of clamps. Put it on tighten. This I wish could have gone about maybe a 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch up further, but everything else is lined up. Everything else looks good. So I'm gonna leave that like it is. I believe it's, I know it's far enough inserted to seal up the exhaust. Okay, the next one, which is the butt clamp, I got that at Summit Racing. That one takes a 9/16. Whoop. How did I get that reversed? Button can accidentally be pushed. That's not a good thing. And finally, the connection to the header that has the oxygen sensor bung in it is from American Racing, and that's a 1/2 inch. Hopefully those are tight enough. I'll go do the same thing on the other side. Now what I'm going to do on the mid pipes is I'm using the band clamps I got from Summit that go, you know, they're 3 inches wide and they go over the slip joint. And finally, the Pypes clamp. I have to make sure I've got that in the right place. I can't get the impact wrench in there. Should be good enough for me to let down this jack as long as I jack up the rear end of the pipe. Take off the front jack. Okay, I think that's good enough to hold it. Yep, it stayed up whenever I moved the when I release the jack. So I'm going to push the loading my gun. My push the front jack toward the front of the car because I think it will just be in my way here now. And now I can get to the Pypes clamp that is the matching one for that over on the driver's side. Amazing how the switching of those these two pipes made a huge difference, and they didn't look like they were that much longer, but they give a clearance between the pipe and the transmission pan. And now that I've got that moved, I can tighten these. Which are the connections to the X pipe. And there's two of them. Naturally, one on each side. Put these, I always rotate the bolts up so that they're not lower than the exhaust pipe. You don't want them to bottom out. I'm going to rotate that up a little bit closer. It might be just a wee bit lower. That is pretty solid. Okay. Everything's tightened. Back to the can't see from there. Okay, there's the pipe, and you can see there's a piece of wood under there right now, but right there in the center is the end of the pipe with the band clamp next to it. I'm going to see if I can release this jack and get it out of my way now too. I'm going to do that. So what you see there is the end of the X pipe and the clamp to go over the slip joint. So the mid pipe goes on to the end of the X pipe and it overlaps. So I'm going to go under here and put the passenger side, that's the side I'm videoing, passenger side mid pipe. Get a picture it's all the way on. And tilt it up in the direction so that I can get the muffler on it. I am going to put this connector on. So that it doesn't move. At least not easily. I can't have it moving at the weight with the weight of the muffler on it. I think that'll do. And now it can go up some. It runs into the bolt that holds the spare tire carrier on. So that's going to limit how high we can raise this pipe. But for now, I'm going to leave it there and slip a muffler on it. See how that works out in the back end. So every time I've looked at these mufflers, it says Race Pro, and it's got a little arrow on that thing. I thought that was supposed to be the direction of the flow, but if you look at it on here, it is pointing to the side where the connector is toward the side of the thing, and I hope that's in your frame. Double check that. Yeah, it is. But flip it over and Race Pro with the arrow points to the side with the connector in the middle. So in reading the instructions and just by looking at how this is set up, it's got to go in. The inlet is the side, the one where the connector's on the side, because there's no way you could fit it if you put the connector to the other side. I'm just going to kind of put this up here to see where we are. But before I do this permanently, I need to get myself another one of those slip joint clamps to clamp that muffler on. So I'll shut off the camera while I find another one of those. I think I have another one. I got my other, they call them lap clamps, so they overlap the other one. So the muffler has the side that goes over, so it gets the big side, and the little side, and I just put that on backwards. The middle side goes over the mid pipe. So let's see what we can do here. The clamp is a little cockeyed because the muffler's down too far. I gotta get it. Dang it, I put it on wrong. Just trying to get it. No, it didn't. No, it was correct. Okay. Probably gonna fall and smack me. Arms get tired, keeping them up in that position. Okay, getting it over it. Clamp all the way on the muffler. Get the muffler all the way on the pipe. And tighten it. That should be a good secure connection. The only other connection to make is to put the chrome exhaust pipe on. Now, I do have these are marked right and left as well. I'm not sure why they would be different. Yeah. I do not see any reason why they would be different, but they are marked left and right. So we'll put them on according to that. Now these, I don't think I can use a lap clamp on them. And The reason is, I think I've got to get a connector up here to hang the muffler. Yeah, maybe not. You know what, I'm going to try a lap clamp because I do have 2 more of them. So I'll try it. Oops, that's not quite aimed at where I'm working. So I am going to use a lap clamp on these, and I will tell you why. My original plan was to screw and I don't know whether you can see where I'm pointing here, so I'm going to point to this one. Screw a muffler hanger here, which is just the other side of this same bolt here. I know you can see this one. And hang the muffler that way. So the lap clamp is going to be further back and it doesn't support hanging the muffler that way. But what I'm going to try to do, if they give you a regular muffler clamp, and if I use just a regular muffler clamp and I hook it onto the hook a regular muffler clamp over the pipe, I can still use a regular hanger there, and I think that'll work just fine. And maybe that's too far out for a regular muffler clamp. But my other alternative, now if I use this clamp for here, I can put a muffler clamp right here, hang it wherever it is I need to hang it. So I'm going to tighten up these guys. Looks pretty solid, pretty much out of the way, and I think you could get the spare tire down. So, for today, all I am going to do is do the muffler on the other side. Same way. I'm not going to video it because it's just a matter of putting up the mid-pipe and the muffler and the exhaust pipe, and except for fabricating a couple of hangers, the installation, I think, of the exhaust system is going to be complete. After playing around for a long time trying to get this to fit, I think I've come to a conclusion that the mid-pipes, even though they're not labeled and no comment about it, might be different right to left. Because if you look at the gap between basically the mid-pipe and the tire here, you're looking at 8-9 inches. On the other side, You're looking at a much smaller gap. I'm thinking, 4 or 5. So I'm thinking, in spite of the fact that they're not labeled, there's no label on either of them. I think they might be just a wee bit different and they belong on a particular side. So it's getting kind of late. I'm calling it a day. I am going to take those off and switch those mid pipes and see what happens. But I'm going to do that on another day.